Welcome back to Global Palette, where we connect people and culture through food. I'm your host, Padmini, and today we have a truly exceptional guest who embodies the spirit of exploration and storytelling. Joining us is Dante Viscarra, former publisher of La Comunidad News, a platform dedicated to connecting the local Latino community. Dante is not only an accomplished author and filmmaker, but also an avid traveler who has made waves at prestigious film festivals such as Cannes and Zurich with his film The Ritual. Welcome, Dante.
Thank you, Padmini. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Dante, you have a remarkable ability to capture the essence and bringing stories to life. Can you share with us how your passion for storytelling has influenced your explorations of the world and different cultures around you?
So I think storytelling goes back to one of my favorite authors. His name is Joseph Campbell. He has written several books, and one of them is A Hero with a Thousand Faces, The Hero's Journey, among others. And I was curious to learn about the myths that take place throughout civilizations. And through myths, you can learn a lot about yourself, about life, and most important, a lot of the archetypes of the hero's journey repeat themselves throughout life in various journeys. You look at the Ottoman Empire, you look at the Incas, you look at everybody who has made this journey, one way or the other, has gone through that process of the hero's journey. And I think as a kid also, coming from South America, coming from Bolivia to the United States, there is a component of the hero's journey where you're getting some skills, learning different languages and cultures, and I'm able to share that process. But when I was a kid, I loved telling stories, and I believe I played with some video cameras back then, and that was kind of when it started. But storytelling is to this day is part of my current life, and I love it. I'm always engaging in storytelling in different languages and cultures, and I find those archetypes repeating themselves time and time again. And to me, that's fascinating. And I started traveling through South America to learn about more of the culture where I came from.
Mhm.
And I spent some time with some shamans in the Amazon of Ecuador.
Oh, wow.
So I basically, as I mentioned earlier, the books, Carl Jung was one of my mentors, Friedrich Nietzsche,
Mhm.
Joseph Campbell. These are the guys who were mentors for me to embody the transformation I was trying to do. And as a result of that, I spent some time with the shamans in Ecuador. This is in the middle of nowhere,
Wow.
out of complete my comfort zone. Amazon River, we threw into smaller townships, and the shamans were really, really a, an experience of, I would say, transformation in many ways. Because
Mhm.
here's me, a city slicker, even though I
Sure.
grew up in Bolivia. I was not accustomed to. I already got used to so much of a comfortable life that I had.
Yeah.
Car, internet access, access to different things and things
Mhm.
what I needed. And
Right.
I was really comfortable in a life setting that made me that weaker. So when I was at the shamans, basically we're staying in Iquitos, Peru, which is the northern part of Peru and in the jungle.
Sure.
And there is basically the most remote area you can think of
Mm.
to spend some time there. And there's mosquitoes. The temperature is about similar to India, I would say, in the summer, but very humid with mosquitoes. We have some jaguars and
Oh.
piranhas,
Mhm.
um, malaria diseases, all sorts of things. And here I am with my backpack. I'm gonna go and hang out with these guys. And in my mind, I'm saying, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Where am I going? I can only recall reading the books, as I mentioned earlier, Joseph Campbell. It's like, all right, here's the call to adventure. And I responded to
Right.
that call.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, so I'm going to go to the belly of the whale. And once you make that decision to go into a trip of the unknown people,
Right.
uh, my mother didn't know, my daughter didn't know where I was. It was just, I just
Oh
started
my
this
God.
journey
It
of
sounds like you
12.
didn't have an agenda. You were like just over.
And you question yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this experience? But deep down inside, your intuition, which is different than your instinct, gives you some clues that you're on the path something completely unique. So I spent time traveling through the jungle with the shaman, and I kid you not, there was literally in the middle of nowhere, very, very wild. There was another El Abuelo, which is called the grandpa, he's from Ecuador, and the two of them were going to take care of us. And it was myself and another person from Serbia. His name is Igor, 6'7" guy. He was supposed to be not even my roommate, but when I saw him for the first time, I thought he was a serial killer. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He's like, this is your roommate. This is Igor. He's looking at me like, wow. But you know, and the first 2 days were hell. There was no toilet paper. There was, you know, we had to drink the water that they gave us. The food was, there was no more fast foods or anything. It was basically what we're going to eat, what the jungle, the Amazon produced for us to eat, and there was no question about it. You're not supposed to question it. First 2 days, I said, like, I want to go back. I don't think this was such a good idea. You know, you're questioning yourself, like, having this anxiety, and at night, like, what am I doing here? And but I think when you go through that process, you have to trust the almonds. There's a reason why you're going through this.
Yeah.
And by the second day, the shaman was testing, especially me, see if I was up to the task of, because we're going to do some ayahuasca ceremonies. And that was my ultimate goal, is to experience that in that setting. So the second day I arrived, he took us, he said, okay, guys, I'm going to take you guys for lunch today. I'm like, oh, finally, we're going to a restaurant. I'm going to get some, maybe a little bit of sandwich, and maybe a nice Pepsi, or, you know, I'm so happy. I looked at him, we're going for lunch, man. And he gets his machete, you know, and then I put my shirt, my boots, and we just started walking to the jungle. So 1 hour into it, I'm like, where's this damn restaurant, man? And I look at him going, look at me like, I don't know, like, just be quiet, just keep going. We get in the middle of the forest. There's a huge tree. As we've arrived to our food site, and he grabs a branch of one of the trees with a machete and then just chops it off.
Okay.
Cracks the branch open, and inside the branch were some maggots, some worms, like squiggly, fat worms. And he grabs one and says, all right, this is our protein, and this is our be our lunch this is our first course meal.
Oh my God.
He grabs one, he eats it, and I've never done this before. I mean, and I looked at my friend Igor, and he's just looking at me like, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna lose it here, because he gives one to me, and looks at me, my reaction. And I grab one. And the only thing I could think of was, when my kids were younger, I used to watch the movie The Lion King.
Yeah.
Remember The Lion King?
Of course,
and he goes on this pilgrimage, and then he becomes a vegetarian. He grabs one of those insects, and he goes, slimy and satisfying.
Right.
So I grabbed the maggot. Slimy and satisfying. I greet him and tell it. He goes, nothing. I'm like,
oh my God.
I swallow it. And actually, I said, like, okay, that wasn't too bad. And he's looking at me, and I said, like, you know what? This is where I am. And he gives us a whole bunch of them. So we start eating those. And I have to just not bite it.
Right.
Just
swallowing them.
So I tried it, and it explodes in my mouth. And I'm just thinking, it's slimy and satisfying. And that was my exposure to gain the trust of our shaman. When you say about food and culture, in many settings, when you travel to India, for example, in your home country, similar experiences, but you have to adapt. And there's no, for me, there wasn't. I was going to go through the experience, and for me, it was interesting to say, all right, you know what, I want to be part of this experience, but I have to adapt to the rules of this realm I'm living right now. And of course, we started eating the insects. It was filling. We took back some to our camp, and then we fried them. And in time, you know, it's a protein. It's a very good protein for you, and you get used to it. So we ate some of the local mushrooms and local wild tangerines, wild oranges. Everything was from the region, and that experience with food helped me to connect even more with what was about to happen the next day. So I sort of passed the test, but food was an important component to gain the trust.
Yeah.
And was I really open to did I just come there to take some pictures or was I really? So the
Yeah.
next day, the shaman says, all right, we're going to go get the ayahuasca. So we're going to go get the vine. So another excursion and machetes and everything. So we grab the trees and we're working an entire day. We come back to camp with the vines and we chopped it and it's a whole process of cutting in pieces, boil it, and it's a 24-hour process before you get the actual brew. It has to go through a filtration process and becomes a little more thick as you boil it,
Sure.
and then the remain is a very thick brew, very brown, and the most disgusting thing you can
Oh
imagine.
boy.
It's really it was like, man, I don't think I've ever had anything like it in my entire life. But we're preparing it, and the next day, the ceremony was at 8 p.m. at night, where
Mhm.
we were ready to understand enter this other universe, which was, you know, that experience itself, my first ayahuasca experience is, I would say, that helped me remove. Uh, I think all of us have our own challenges in life. Whether you're born in the United States or Bolivia or India, I think
Yeah,
society somehow shapes you, puts
it does.
masks on you to just you have to conform to society, your family, your friends, society,
Yeah.
and eventually you stop losing your identity and who
Right.
you are. But
Mhm.
ayahuasca helped me to kind of it's an excruciating, very painful process because you go through a 3 hour process of starts at 8 p.m. at night. And you vomit for 3 hours.
Oh my God.
I am not exaggerating. I mean, I was vomiting until I had no more to vomit. And and there's the shaman is singing some icaros, and then you go into the process, and it stops for about an hour. You do that, and then the diarrhea starts for another 3 hours.
Oh my God.
and, and in this journey, you really transcend to a different type of consciousness.
Yeah.
And this is where you kind of discover whatever issues you may have. Like ayahuasca is an ancestral medicine from my culture that enables you to connect to yourself and also helps other people to deal with
Mhm.
some of their issues, whatever they may be. For me, it was I really wanted to um, find who I really was, and that
Yeah.
helped me. So we did a couple of ceremonies, but it was very painful because
Wow.
once you are purging yourself for 8 until 4 o'clock in the morning. You have nothing else to give. There's no toilet paper, nothing, and you go back to your little tent, and then something really strange happened where I could actually my senses were 100 times. I would say I could hear a frog 100 yards away.
Oh
I,
wow.
I could hear the jaguars outside in the jungle. I could smell things. It's like somebody removed my senses completely. And that was the beginning of I would say, the first 2 days, it was hell. I want to go back. The third day, I felt like, wow, I am in the right, I am where I need to be. And I remember at that time, the mosquitoes ate me alive. I had the mosquito repellent everywhere.
Sure.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
the mosquitoes, they adapt also. The first day, they respected the mosquito, but the second day, but you go through these experiences to be out of your comfort zone. It's always important to welcome pain, comfort. And I
Mm.
was in no man's land, and I stayed there for learning about the wilderness, where kind of reconnecting with who I was. I remember I wanted to take a shower. Like, oh yeah, they gave me a little plastic bucket. There was a little river down the stream, and the only modern thing we had. Igor had this bottle of shampoo, which was hibiscus. I remember, I will never forget it. Look at the most luxury item. And I was like, we just fight for it. Like, I had some hibiscus. I'm putting the
Oh wow.
hibiscus in, and I'm getting into this kind of small little lagoon. It was murky waters, and I'm sitting down completely naked, and I'm just all of a sudden I feel something through my legs. I go, what the fuck? What was it? And the shamans, they yell at me, hey, I forgot to tell you, there's some piranhas on that little thing. Just don't move.
Oh my God.
I was, I had to be, I was froze, piranhas, and I'm here, and as long as you don't have any wounds or any opening cuts, you can actually relax. And so these kind of things
Yeah.
You just have to adapt and go forward. And so that was the routine on a daily basis to learn about nature, eating. Our diet went completely from mainstream food to things that we had in the jungle.
Yeah.
There were some wild chickens that they laid some eggs. Sometimes you would have two eggs. For the most
Mhm.
part, it was tomatoes. There's some onions in there, some other fruits, wild tangerines. We made some tangerine water with that from the stream and filtered it
Yeah.
under the master. I was just there for the ceremony at ayahuasca, and he said to me, Dante, you're here for 5 days, and Gore's been practicing experimenting with the cambo, which is the poison of a Amazon frog.
Okay.
And it's another ritual during the daytime. You extract, you get a little frog, you milk the frog out of from her skin. When you make her mad, there's a secretion of white poison. It's a defense
Okay.
mechanism for the frog. You, you scrape it off, put it in a little pallet, and then you dry it off, and you use that. You get a cigarette when you're in the ritual. You get a cigarette, and you burn your skin, remove the epidermis, and you put a micro dosage of the combo into your bloodstream,
Okay.
and it causes different. It's another type of purging. And Igor says, "Hey, I don't have anybody to practice. Can I try it on you?" Combo. I was like, "Well, no, there's nobody else here. You tried it, or have you tried it on a meister?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "I'm doing well." So how about you? Like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. Let's try it.
You did try it.
What the hell? I was like, I was going to be there, and it comes up when there's a trust component. And I
Yeah.
knew
Uh-huh.
Igor, we went through hell and back, and I said, like, you know what, if not
How
now,
bad
when?
can it be? Yeah.
Tomorrow we'll do the ritual at noon, and uh, I have a video of it when the things are back in normal. I'll send you a link so you can actually see this whole process.
Would
And
love
he
that.
smokes, do a pancho, removes it, puts it in, and I start feeling the poison coming through my bloodstream and heartbeat,
Slowing
fever,
down.
sweating, and it's another purging process. And take it out. You have to ask them to take it out because your heartbeat
Mm.
is going really, really. See, the poison of Cambo is an apex predator. It has no enemies because one the indigenous folks from the Amazon use it for hunting.
Okay.
They hunt wild boars. They use it for. It has a lot of applications
Oh
in that
wow.
area. They also use Cambo to treat patients with AIDS
Mm.
or AIDS in Peru.
Yeah.
They use it to treat some illnesses related to mental problems,
Mm.
and it's a very powerful medicine, just like
Right.
ayahuasca. So I tried that, and that was a whole different experience
Sure.
of also of pain. Now, pain.
Wow.
There's pain of it's another vomiting, but it's the daytime. Cambo is a daytime medicine, and ayahuasca is a nighttime.
Okay.
And beyond that, there's other components of the female energy versus the male energy that you have in this process. So through all of that,
Mm.
was a really good experience to learn about self and
Yes.
the situations that I had to deal with personally.
Yeah.
And one of the journeys I remember